Hi, I'm Matt from HOCKEYREVIEWS.ca, and this is the Sherwood Rekker Legend Pro. I'm trying to figure out where they say that here. I guess they don't. This is the Pro stock glove model that is offered. You've seen these online and all over the place. This is going to be a review of this glove. I've used it for a while now. So huge thanks to Hockey Stick Man who worked with me so I could buy these and do a review on them and talk about them and make content on them. So if you're interested in these gloves and the crazy different Pro stock colorways that they have, which is there's a ton of them and they're fantastic, the colorways, check out Hockey Stick Man. So Hockey Stick Man has graciously given me a coupon code so people can get 10% off this, whether you're on the Canadian or the US site. So use the coupon code HOCKEYREVIEWS10, and you can just check the link in the description as well, and that will instantly apply it. So you can grab one of these gloves and you get 10% off of it. And that isn't an affiliate code, so I don't get anything from that, but I figured if I could share a discount to people who wanted this glove and could get into this glove, I would try to do so. And luckily they agreed to do so, so make sure you check them out and support them for that. So we're going to do the review on this glove. We have our 3D hand test, so you get a fit size idea on it, as well as our grip test on the trusty Bauer textured grip stick. And we'll take a look at how this glove is, what I think of it, compare it to some retail offerings that we can kind of see here. And we'll take a look at it compared to some other older Sherwood gloves, which aren't directly compatible, but we'll see how the foams and stuff like that differ between them. So first of all, I want to get this out of the way because it's kind of important. The aesthetics on these gloves are fantastic. They're absolutely amazing. Now, this is obviously a Pro stock glove, which we'll talk about in a second. This one specifically is a New Jersey Devils reverse retro color glove, and it looks absolutely stunning. I think the colorway on this is really, really nice. It's pretty unique. You have the obviously 3 different main colors right here, and the fingers being a different color is pretty awesome as well. All of these gloves in this line for their Pro stock ones have pretty awesome colors. They have Kraken, they have retro colors, Stars Outdoor. There's amazing Pro stock colors on it. You obviously don't get an idea of the actual graphic package on the Legend Pros because these ones aren't really Legend Pros. I mean, they are. The cut and everything is a Legend Pro. Like the features are kind of a Legend Pro, but obviously you're getting your Pro stock like color package and stuff there, so you don't really get a normal aesthetics of it, kind of like what you'd see here with the different materials and stuff. But obviously this is a Pro stock glove, so that's what you get here. Now, I will say I do really like what Sherwood does with these details. So they have like these rubberized logos, and those are actually Sherwood logos, so you can kind of see right there. And on the backhand too, so you can see those little S's. I don't even know if there's a W in there, but it's like kind of Sherwood's logo, which is this piece right here. So I guess it's a S. Maybe there's a W somehow in there, but regardless, this logo is back on these little rubberized pieces. I think that's a really nice touch. It doesn't kind of take away from anything, and it kind of reminds me of what CCM did with these, but it's a nice little detail, and you can kind of tell what glove it is. I like that Sherwood does that for these. I've had people ask me over and over again of what socks I always recommend, and I've been using Cutshield for a while now. I have multiple stuff for them. So Cutshield is a company out of Canada that makes cut-resistant socks, and these are their Pro Air 6, which means it's an ANSI level 6 for cut resistance on here. They also make pretty awesome slash guards and wrist guards. You see them in the NHL a lot. Basically look for this gray material under players' gloves and under their elbow pads, and it's probably Cutshield. This version of it has an Evo Shield piece in, so you have slash guard and it's skate cut resistant. This stuff is fantastic and I absolutely love it. I've been using it for a long time. Did a full review of it up there, so you can check it out. But I now have a coupon code with Cutshield, so if you want to support the channel, you can check out the link in the description to Cutshield, buy some socks, which I think are honestly one of the better socks on the market. I absolutely love them. They're pretty thin and they are cut resistant, and they're not too hot either. And I have no issues with these whatsoever on my custom skates where I need a really thin one. You can see how you can basically see my skin through them, so they are thin on here, and this part doesn't really feel or get that hot compared to some of those Kevlar socks. So I absolutely love this material, so check them out. I always recommend them. Use my coupon code, you get 25% off, and it helps support the channel so I can keep making videos and making more content. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying anything, check out links in the description to Patreon, buy me a coffee. Everything through there comes again back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing real reviews. Now, next part to cover the elephant in the room of this Pro stock glove. Now, here is why I would put asterisks around that. This glove feels more like a retail glove than it does a Pro stock glove. Doesn't mean it's bad, and we'll talk about more of those details in a second. But there are some things on this glove that make me feel like it is not really a full-blown Pro stock glove. Now, one of those things that's very obvious is the palm, which is a Kevlar overlay. Now, you can look yourself
and tell me how many players in professional leagues that are not in minor kind of things. So in the CHL, which is OHL, WHL, and QJ, MHL, use a Kevlar overlay on their palms. And I'm sure there's some lower pro leagues around North America and stuff, or Europe, that use that. That is to have more durability. Now, this is obviously a devil's. Now, how many NHL players are using this Kevlar on there? So I kind of question that. This isn't really something pros want. This totally affects feel. And we'll talk about that in the palm portion of this, but this is not a spec that you'd really see in the pro stock world on the gloves. Now here is a pair of CCM pro stock gloves. This one came from either, I think, the Sarnia Sting or something, but regardless, this glove was basically a pro stock glove for the OHL, and you can see it has that Kevlar palm for durability reasons in there. Now there's another couple other things in here that I don't think are necessarily on the pro stock ones, and I checked out a bunch of Sherwood pro stock gloves I've seen before, like from Arturi Lekkinen, and also from like those Maple Leaf ones I talked about originally when I did the Code V review, where they had some features on there that weren't on here. Another thing is these gussets. Now, obviously, these are personal for players, but this is like a spandex type gusset, and usually pros don't necessarily go for the spandex type. They'll have a nash, so kind of like this. So again, this is spandex here and a nash tip on here. So usually you have a nash over here and not spandex. The spandex is very comfortable for retail, but not necessarily the most protective, and honestly, I feel like there's a bunch of other materials that are better for that. So that is also a kind of a questionable thing on that. The other questionable thing is this liner. This is a protection piece that they have where they talk about military grade applications. I've never seen once on any of the actual pro stock Sherwood gloves before. Every different one I looked at, every model I looked at, never had this piece in the backhand. It always just had a normal backhand pad, and that was kind of it. So this part never translated into that. This stuff was actually in the backhand of the 9950s, which is like their 4-roll style, and you could see it coming out of here. I've never seen that on pro stock actual gloves. Hockey Stick Man had them on their website and stuff, but I never actually saw them used at the pro stock level. Usually it's just a liner or a thicker liner in there. So that's the other kind of thing where I'm kind of questioning, are these actually pro stock gloves? Now, finally, the last piece is the foam package on here, which you can have like kind of a softer foam at the bottom, a dense foam, and then a plastic on top. That bottom density foam feels really similar to what this one is, which is just their retail glove. And the last time I saw a pro stock Sherwood glove, the foam density on here was a lot more dense than what this was on the bottom. And then it had a density, which this is very dense middle piece right here. And then you have your insert. So I found that on the pro stock one from the Leafs pro stock, which was like a Code V pro stock, this foam was a lot more dense on the bottom than what is on here and also what is on here. So those things lead me to believe this necessarily isn't a pro stock glove. Doesn't mean it's a bad glove, and hopefully you watch the rest of the review to see what I mean by that. But that is just something where I don't really believe this is fully a pro stock glove, but there definitely are upgrades on this glove for a few features. Like we'll talk about this cuff, which is very nice compared to what I've seen in the past. It's definitely something like that is good. It's just kind of a iffy thing. Now, I've talked about this before and about specific websites, and we've seen it a lot with Warrior gloves in the past, and now we see it a lot with Sherwood gloves, where a store can basically go to a company and say, hey, I want to order 20 pairs of this colorway glove, and then they get it made up, and now it's on their website as a pro stock glove. Pro stock, the name has kind of been, I'm going to say, diminished in recent years, within like the last 10 years, where companies are kind of just making stuff up. And I wrote an article about this on my website a long time ago about a company that has pro stock in their name, where they released a glove that was physically impossible to be a pro stock glove of what they said it was, just from timing. They would need a time machine to make it happen. So stuff like this is happening in the industry. Now, I'll do the rest of the review on this glove in terms of if it's a good glove or not. I just want to make it really obvious that if you're expecting this glove to be basically Arturi Lekkinen's or Connor Bedard's or Willie Nylander's or Alex DeBrinket's type of glove, and actual, you might not be getting what you think you're getting. I did look at those Lekkinen gloves, and this one was not, like, it didn't seem like they're really the same glove, and it did really feel like it was something kind of different. Yes, I know it's a different model, but the glove itself and just how it was constructed and stuff felt like it was a bit different than what this one specifically is. We're going to go over kind of the features and stuff on this glove and talk about everything through here. So as you can see on this padding pieces and all these blocks back here, there's a lot going on here. And I was actually critical to True in the past by doing too much on here and too much like complication. You don't need all this. And this is almost the case with this glove as well. I appreciate these backhand pads. We'll talk about that in the mobility part, but there is a lot going on here that I think is kind of a little bit too much. And when I say that, when you go like this, you don't really need all these breaks. So like this could realistically be one piece. These could realistically be one piece. You can see it separating, but really it will just separate between those two. So that is a lot going on there. And then like this piece right here could realistically be a part of that as well. So a lot going on. It works well, but Sherwood is doing a lot here. 3-piece index and middle fingers, which is great. I also like how it is slanted and not straight on. It's a nice little attention to detail. And if you line these up, you can make it really nice atomically to make sure you aren't getting gaps and stuff. And really, if you work these together and you did one that way and that way, and when they line up on your finger, it would do a nice thing to kind of ensure gaps aren't visible and things can't get stuck in between. 2 on these, which is totally fine for that. You have nice padding on the outside too. You have a foam with a plastic insert both ways there and on here as well, which is an upgrade over what they used to do, where these used to just be foam. But again, this was the retail code glove. This one is obviously the pro stock glove. Onto their thumb, we have their flex thumb, and you can see it flex like this. This is actually a really interesting design because it honestly does feel like it's kind of a 3-piece, something that kind of Bauer did in the past. And I don't know if it is really a 3-piece, but you can see how much of this flexes. And when you really go in there, yeah, it's flexing there, but it also just feels like it kind of flexes, like the whole thing flexes with it. And it feels really good like those Bauer 3-pieces, and Bauer is getting away from that a bit. Now, I had issues with their flex thumbs in the past with padding, and it's honestly, it doesn't really feel like it's there. They feel like they really fixed it, where if you went like this, the plastic would dig right into your fingers, and for protection, you get that, it would hurt a lot. You can still feel it a bit. You can feel it on most gloves though, but I feel like they definitely done something on here to make it a lot better than what was on the code ones. So it is really nice in that sense. Onto this cuff, you have this plastic inserted cuff, which is awesome and something that these gloves absolutely don't have. So really nice in there, and that might be one of the pro stock upgrades on that, and a really dense foam, which is really nice. Then you have this flex style of cuff back here, which just has spandex back here, and then this very open design here with not a lot of padding, a soft foam though, plastic insert there, and all the way through. I love how open this cuff is and how well it moves as well. It kind of moves like that, which is really good. This cuff design is really fantastic, and honestly, Sherwood is doing an excellent design here, so a lot of credit for that. The one thing I noticed is when you go like this thumb kind of has a bit of hyperextension because it kind of jams in there, but it might be a little bit better if that thumb piece kind of came out a little bit even more, because you can see it kind of really goes in there. That's a weird piece and not a huge issue overall. Now, the one thing about this cuff that is super annoying and frustrating is it's not actually a flex cuff. So they have this piece in here to flex more, and I talk about this a lot where companies don't need to have spandex back here. On the retail version of this glove, this cuff is all kind of one piece and you can adjust it. So this is a little bit different than what is on here. So again, this is like a custom spec glove type thing. Because these are separate, you can see these don't connect to anything. If it did connect to here, this would make sense as a flex cuff because it would flex down. But because these don't connect, you can see this part doesn't actually come anywhere. It doesn't actually follow your wrist at all. It just stays up because this part is separate, which is totally fine. That is allowed to be separate, and it works really well. It's separate. I wish honestly it was a bit more separate from down here, so it would kind of just be attached to here, so it would flex even more that way. But that's kind of a nitpick. But this piece does not need to have this spandex in here, and honestly, this material should go all the way down so you get more padding and more protection down there. I really wish that was the case. Fortunately, it's not, but this cuff is a pretty awesome open design. You can see how open it is. I have found that even with my bigger elbow pads with FT6 Pros, which kind of can get in the way, this opens up so well, it can just totally turn on them, and it feels really great. So for the liner, this is their COP R29 liner. It's really cool how it has all the, like, I don't know, can't remember what Sherwood said that is. They mentioned it when they came out with these stick and what it was, but it looks really cool. It's obviously a topographical map of something, but it looks awesome on here in the details, and you have the logos. Then you have the COP R29. So one thing that Sherwood had a problem with in the past, and I called it out with, is their liner kind of pulled apart from itself. So if you went like this, you could kind of rip apart stitches. I think they fixed all that because this looks totally fine and has held up totally fine, and there's no areas of concern anywhere. I kind of missed the color with this old one with the crazy camouflage graphic in here, and this was their, see, their R29 had like copper stuff in it. I think that still has it. This one was a good example of where they had the seams ripping on there, so you could see the liner kind of ripping with the seams. That's no longer the case with this. I haven't noticed that at all. So they changed something in there and definitely upgrade it in that sense. It feels nice and soft to the touch. It's nothing crazy. It doesn't feel like the most comfortable liner in the world. I still think the Warrior ones are really nice for that, but it's solid overall. And I talked about the palm with this Kevlar overlay, which again, I questioned pro stock things. I've yet to see an actual pro NHL user have this. I checked all of them I could think of. Didn't see that anywhere. AX suede palm, which they've used for a bit now, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's super comfortable. I really like this material. It's like a Nash type feel material, but it's AX, and AX is the company that makes them. And it's just a good material. It feels soft. It doesn't feel too hard and like plasticky almost, or like cardboardy. Feels really good overall. Very, very big fan of that. And you obviously have your thumb piece that pulls in that way. Now, when we do the 3D grip test, or I should say textured grip test on this, you have a very mixed bag here. Now, the reason this is a mixed bag is because everything on here you can't feel at all. I cannot feel the bumps whatsoever because that Kevlar just totally kills the feel on that glove. Now, the thumb and the top, like my fingertips, feel fantastic. It is a pretty thin overall material, and it's like a nice feeling material. It's pretty, like a lot of companies using AX suede now. Feels great, but that Kevlar piece really kills all feel in the glove completely, and it's kind of disappointing. This Kevlar piece also makes it a lot more slippery than when you're up there. So you can see how the AX suede is gripping. The Kevlar piece really slides. The rest kind of grip. I have noticed with sticks that don't have a ton of grip, like all the true sticks now, these were too slippery. I couldn't use it with the stick. Every time I try to load it, I would just slip out of it, and it kind of sucked because of that Kevlar piece. So that is an interesting design choice. Yes, it's going to be more durable, which kind of makes sense at a retail level, but I don't think it should be kind of at the top retail level. I really feel like the top retail level should be kind of full performance, so you get that great grip and feel, and you don't have, maybe like you sacrifice a little bit of durability there. Maybe the price point one below feels a little bit different, but this one is, honestly, the feel is just kind of really disappointing. You look on the inside, you can see it is just AX suede on the bottom layer, so it is more comfortable than some gloves I've seen where that inner layer was really the other side of this. So not awful in that sense, but the actual feel of the stick itself is honestly pretty ruined because of this Kevlar palm. But if you're looking for durability and you want something to last longer, this is going to work a lot better than some other things. And so this really helps in that sense, because I do have people asking me about durability gloves, which one will last a while. This as well, with kind of tape alternative at the top, will really help in regards to that. We do have their Spandex gussets. You can see how much they flex, and you can see kind of how thin they are. You can see your fingers right through, like my skin through there. And obviously this is another part where I think it's not really a pro stock piece. Spandex is all about comfort. You see it more and more on retail gloves like this, and well, on most retail gloves and like these, because you can, one, put your fingers past them, so that way it's more comfortable. You don't feel your fingertips there, and they kind of move a bit with your fingers. So it basically just means you get a more comfortable glove, but not necessarily a right glove. I don't like them because when you are in a glove that is too small, and I'll use this one as an example, your fingers come past it and you don't get protection. When you're in a pro stock glove, you want that to be Nash, kind of to stop it from going that far, and you can wear a bit of a tighter glove, kind of like these ones. These ones are 13s, and my fingers can't bash through because of that Nash tips right there, so it kind of holds the foam package in a better spot, so you get a little bit more protection there. And these ones have like holes in them too, so you get a little bit breathability. But this is a nice mix of Spandex and Nash. I hope Sherwood does that in the future with these, where they kind of do the tips. CCM is doing that on their tax line for retail, so I really hope basically all this all the way through is a Nash tip, like this AX suede or something. Or even you could use, if you wanted for more like breathability, you could use the mesh, like air mesh that Warrior uses, so you'd get that basically going through here as well, and it wouldn't allow your fingers to blow past it, but it would also give you the Spandex comfort from back here and breathability, but just better overall finger design and makeup. For dexterity on this glove, it is absolutely fantastic. Now there is way too many of these blocks, which we'll kind of jump into a little bit here. Like you can see how it closes like that. I can touch my thumb and pinky totally fine, and the thumb moves a bit and the pinky also moves. And when it closes like that, you can see how well it closes and how nice the fingers kind of close without really leaving gaps. And the whole backhand kind of flexes with your hand as well. And when you go to the extremes like this, you can see just how much this glove is going to flex. This is one of the best gloves in terms of just feeling on your hand and breaking with your hand. And you can see also this one piece here does a really good job of kind of flexing with your hand like that. So this is a very, very well done backhand piece and side piece. I do think it's a little busy, and I mentioned that earlier, but I'll bring it up again. I think they went to too many pieces on here. You could really simplify a lot of these. Even these, like that could really be one piece, and this could be one piece, or that could be like, I wouldn't prefer that to be one piece, but like this could be one piece. They could simplify this. I hope they really don't, because this is all good, but over here is definitely something they can kind of take a look at, because you definitely don't need so many blocks here. But with that said, something I've noticed about this glove, and maybe that is because of all of these blocks, is that when you're going like this and when you're skating, you can feel the air going through these blocks. So I don't know what they're using as a liner here or anything, but even doing that, I can feel it on the backhand. That is a feature on the CCM gloves with their AirTech, so they have these holes, and I talked about it, and it totally works. This glove feels maybe even more holy, I want to say, than what this glove does, and it's really crazy. I play on one rink that is a really old barn, and it's very cold in the winter, and this glove, I can feel the cold air going through my hands all through the back and on the sides, and honestly, it's very surprising and kind of ridiculous how much that does that, and it's just like that. Even going like this, I can feel the air coming through the sides. So this thing kind of cools you down in that sense, and it is very, very surprising. You'll also get that a bit with the Spandex gussets on here. So very interesting idea behind that. I don't know if it was on purpose, but whatever they're doing there really works, and it really does help cool your hands down. So kind of interesting there, and a huge improvement over previous Sherwood gloves. On the BPM 120s, I believe it was, I talked about how hot they ran. This glove, total opposite, runs really cold. And now we get on to protection of this glove. And honestly, I am pretty satisfied with this, but this is again where I come back to, I don't necessarily think this is a pro stock glove, because I've seen Sherwood gloves with like different specs with a more dense foam used in them. Compared to this foam, which was their original kind of retail one, you had a really soft foam that I can basically squeeze my hand all the way through, a denser foam up top, and then your plastic insert. This one is a soft foam at the bottom, but it is a little bit more denser than that, but it definitely feels more dense than what that one was. You have a very, very dense top foam where I can't really even squeeze it at all. And then you have the plastic insert. So not going the Bauer route here, cheapening out on things. Obviously this one is their pro stock glove, so it should have plastic inserts everywhere, and it does, but it's not quite as dense of foams as I've seen on their previous pro stock actual gloves. This foam package is still very good. It is still solid. It is protective. It might not be the most protective thing in the world, but for retail package, I think only thing really beating this now, probably Warrior's Tri-Lam. So that is a very good thing, because Warrior's kind of leading with that right now, and this is a really solid. And even over here, you have plastic inserts all the way, so you get that protection all the way up on the index finger, which is nice. Plastic inserts all throughout here. You can see the little inserts and the foam backing. The only part that doesn't have plastic insert is right here, because the thumb piece behind it is plastic. So you don't necessarily need a double plastic insert on that part, but you still have the plastic on there as well. Everything on here for up here is solid in regards to that. And then on top of the backhand protection, so you have obviously that, but you also have their iconic VIP impact protection on the back, and this is what I kind of talked about earlier. This is a plastic where it's supposed to take impacts, and you can see it kind of get stuck a little bit too, but it's supposed to take really hard impacts, disperse that force. This is used evidently in car doors, military applications, yada yada, but it's on the back end here. And again, another part of that, I don't really think I've seen a pro stock one with this in there, but it's an interesting idea, and it's better than kind of nothing. With that said, this thing does just like the old one. It has like glued on, but it totally comes off, and it really only sits on the stitching points. So kind of annoying that that's the case, where it kind of just pops off, and it was popping off right away. So like, don't even use the glue. It doesn't do anything at all. It's only those stitch points right here and right in the corner that hold it in place. And it is frustrating to kind of get in and out just because it's like a plastic, but it's an interesting idea. Protection, it probably helps a little bit, but I would prefer like something like a D3O or a pour-on back there. It's, I guess, better than nothing, but you can definitely feel it when you go like this. You can definitely feel those kind of cones on your backhand. I haven't noticed anything from like a pain point, but you can feel it from kind of a little bit of a comfort zone in there, but nothing terrible with that. A huge upgrade on this glove compared to this one with no plastic inserts, you can see me destroy that cuff like that, is this one does have either a plastic insert, yeah, so there's a plastic piece right here that goes through the cuff and makes it really hard, but it also has a much denser foam on the cuff, so you can see how hard it is for me to really squeeze that, and it does have that plastic insert going through it, so a lot more protective cuff than what is on the old ones. But you go like this, and honestly, that still hurts because there's nothing behind it. So you're getting that really dense foam and plastic insert going right into your wrist. So if this was more connected piece, or they had that liner kind of coming all the way through, that would be a really nice addition. So you get more protection that way, because you don't need this flex cuff at all. So kind of a disappointment in that sense, but pretty solid overall. And then on back here, you just have foam, soft foam here, soft foam here. Bauer, I think on their Pro Stocks had plastic in the past. I'm not sure if they still do, but foam's up here with a plastic insert in there. So everything on here is pretty lightweight in terms of protection, but it is kind of going to be a double layer, where generally speaking, that's going to be overlapping your elbow pad. So nothing awful there. And so the other nice thing for protection on these, because of the fingers, I mentioned kind of the slats and slants working
for them. When you go like this, you really can't touch your knuckles. Now, if you jam your finger in here, you can touch it. Same with you actually can't touch it all there. There you can't. Here, you definitely can. But when you put these on with an actual stick and you try to do it, you can see how they kind of work together. So you can't really ever get in there, which is a solid design. And like that top piece as well, you can't get in there because they're kind of working all together. This is a great idea in terms of making a glove kind of broken in a bit more. This one might be a little bit tighter, or honestly, they could honestly also go just a 3-piece to make this like this. But with how this is all done, it's going to be really hard to kind of get in there with sticks or anything, just because of how those pieces are broken up and how this finger design kind of works. So it's a very well done finger design on here, and Sherwood deserves a ton of credit for that. And again, pro stock level, I definitely think they are in terms of protection, because they're definitely better than retail ones. And there's maybe one retail glove right now that has this level of protection, or it's going to be close to that, and that's those Warriors. But overall, it's pretty solid, and I would have no problems recommending it on the protection level of things. For weight on these gloves, I really don't know how Sherwood ended up doing this. Maybe it is like how loose this kind of is, and there's not a like real dense foam behind here. Same with like kind of back here. But these gloves feel lighter than these gloves do, and these gloves are pretty light as is. So this has a pretty solid foam package, has some pretty good features, and they're not skimping out on things. Like all of this has plastic inserts everywhere on it, which is really good. And yet somehow this glove feels lighter than like what some other retail gloves do. So it's very impressive in that regards. For balance and everything, it feels totally fine. It's a pretty lightweight glove, and it just feels good on your hand. Nothing feels like it's kind of falling all over the place. Core Tech, which are Coreshorts, and people have heard of these before. They were labeled under Under Armour before. Now Bauer sells hockey specific one, but Core themselves sell their own line of pants and supportive clothing and apparel. Basically, this stuff helps you with growing strains, growing pulls, and helps keep your hips tight and everything like that. And speaking of injuries, I kind of pulled a growing playing in the playoffs a few months ago, and have had to keep using these Core Tech shorts to make sure my growing doesn't get worse. When I don't wear them, I can feel it, and it hurts kind of to walk the next day. With these, keeps everything nice and tight and keeps everything from stretching out too far and getting injured. So these have been a huge savior for me. Check out the link in the description to their website and use my coupon code that's in there to get a discount, and I'll put it on the screen here. It helps support myself and the channel so I can make content and doing real reviews, but also you get a solid product that I use all the time and basically am needed in order to keep my growing from falling apart. So normally when I do a 3D hand test, I do it on 14-inch gloves. I didn't get these gloves for free. I had to pay for them. And when I get gloves for free, like this glove here and this glove at the time, I both got sent to me to do a review on, I will order 14. So you can see how that's a 14. This one is a 15. As you can see, hopefully right there. And because I had to pay for them, I wanted a glove that would be like totally fit for me. So we're going to do the 3D hand test, but this glove is obviously going to fit bigger than what other gloves I've tested in the past. So unfortunately, I've noticed Sherwood gloves like this 14 fit pretty kind of on the small side of things. This one is obviously a lot bigger, and this is the 15. So I'm going to talk about this as close as I can in terms of these hand fits for me, but it's not a direct 14-inch comparison, unfortunately, because again, I had to buy these, so I wanted to make sure I was buying a glove that I really wanted to use, but I'll take that smaller glove just for the testing purposes. But for me, if I'm spending money on it, I want to make it sure it's something that I can use over and over and over and over again. So we have the 15-inch type hand in here, and you can see when it goes in, it doesn't actually go all the way past, so it still has a bit of room and doesn't go past the actual padding spots, which shows you that this fits like a 15-inch glove. And this doesn't fit massive, so this 15 one is swimming in here. It fits totally fine. Now, it would be kind of useless of me to put the 14 into this one because it's still going to be swimming. So we're going to do a comparison compared to the Code V. So obviously this isn't a one-to-one, but for that 14, you can see how it was kind of touching the ends over here, so it fit totally as expected as a 14. I still felt this one fit a little bit smaller than some other 14-inch gloves, kind of like that one, where this one I wear and my fingers kind of come up like past this a little bit more than what that is. But this one fits pretty good overall for a 14. And obviously if I put a 14 in this, it's just going to be too small. So unfortunately, this test doesn't totally work for this because these are 15-inch gloves, but it fits to me very true to size for this glove specifically. I have used some gloves in the past where I went to the 15s and like Warriors, and they felt absolutely massive. This one feels totally fine, and for me, this is the exact preferred sizing for me. So unfortunately, like I said, I don't have a 14. If you want to see me do a 14, you can reach out to Sherwood on social media and say you want to see Hockey Reviews do their 3D fit test for their gloves to see how their stuff fits. But yeah, but unfortunately, because again, I bought these myself, I want to use them for a long time, I bought the glove that I know fits my hand better. For the
snug test and everything. Again, these are 15s, so when I usually do this test for stuff like this, they fit a bit tighter than what it might if it's the right size for you, because while this glove is a 14, my fingers go past it, so really it's too small for me. So when I go like that and it won't come off, it's because it is a bit smaller of a glove. This one is a 15 and it fits decently snug. It comes off obviously, but it is a bit more loose than what that is because this is a 15. So I'm pretty sure if I had a 14 of this, it would be pretty tight. This is their more loose fitting style. So the Code line is more of a vapor type fit, where this one is supposedly more of the Supreme type fit. So this is the Rekker one. So this one does fit a bit more snug than what the Code line will, and it does kind of like this one will, because it's a bit bigger. If I had a 14, it probably wouldn't come off at all. So if you're looking for more Supreme or Jet Speeds type fit, this one will definitely be closer, I think, to that. And when you put it on, I definitely feel like it's more snug back here. The fingers don't feel super tight or anything. They just feel fine, but they also don't feel like I have a ton of room in there. But the cuff definitely does come a bit smaller in here. You can kind of see how the body comes out a bit, and then the cuff is a bit tighter, but it really blooms out, so it is a lot more open in that sense once you get up there. I had no issues with how this glove like ever got in the way or anything because of how nice blooming that cuff is, but it does fit overall a bit more snug but open, so don't worry about it. And then a bit like not super snug down here, but overall a decently snug glove. And again, 15-inch bigger than what I normally do for these tests, so it's not a direct one-to-one comparison. So that is about it for the review of the Sherwood Rekker. These are the Legend Pro stock gloves, Pro stock again. And honestly, I absolutely love these gloves. If it wasn't for these palms, where these palms kind of make things slippery, this would probably be my most used glove right now. But I am testing some True Sticks which have zero grip, so I can't really use this glove when using that stick, unfortunately. But these gloves are a pretty fantastic overall package. Check them out at Hockey Stick Man. So use the coupon code HOCKEYREVIEWS10, and you can just check the link in the description as well, and that will instantly apply it, so you can grab one of these gloves and you get 10% off of it. And that isn't an affiliate code, so I don't get anything from that, but I figured if I could share a discount to people who wanted this glove and could get into this glove, I would try to do so. And luckily they agreed to do so, so make sure you check them out and support them for that. I'm honestly very tempted to buy a couple more of these, but for me, when I test stuff and like review gear, it doesn't really make sense for me to buy the same model. So maybe I'll wait for the next one of these and then buy hopefully those custom team colors, because there's a bunch of colorways on there I really want to see and really want to like use and buy. So maybe I'll go down that route, but these are pretty solid. If you need a special colorway like this, or like King's Purple, it's kind of a no-brainer because this glove is pretty solid overall. I really do wish this was kind of a different thing here, just because then I know some people are kind of like, I don't really want to use this palm. Maybe in the future for the Code line, they won't have this palm. They'll have a normal AX suede palm, and then for the Element line, they'll have this, so you have like one of the other options. That would be kind of great, so you have that like ability to choose. For now, easy recommendation. I think these retail for $200 Canadian, which is pretty solid. And honestly, compared to the normal retail pricing of gloves, this one is an easy recommendation compared to those like $240 gloves at retail. Just yes, it is a bit cheaper. You get some awesome colors and stuff like that with maybe not nice to the palm, but it's a very solid glove overall, and I'm very happy to recommend it. So huge thanks to Hockey Stick Man for helping me with this review. If you want me to review gear, like more Sherwood stuff, let the company like Sherwood know on social media, hey, I want to see Hockey Reviews review gear. Helps me get on their radar, so hopefully in the future I can review more equipment and not have to buy stuff, because obviously if this wasn't a glove that I bought, I would have had the 3D hand fit test working correctly. And spending money, I want to make sure I can use it for a long time. Also, check out Hockey Stick Man. Links are in the description. Buy from them. Let them know you came from me. Let them know this video was helpful and like you bought something from me. It'd be greatly appreciated as well. So hopefully I can work with them in the future as well there. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube, comment below to see what gloves you want me to review next. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, links in the description. Check out all the links in the description if you want to support the channel so I can make more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HOCKEYREVIEWS.ca.